Hey, what's up? This is Todd Smith, and I am back with another video. In this video, I want to talk about Behringer and how this could possibly be their biggest year yet coming forward. I talked how the UBXA, in my opinion, is a really big stepping stone and kind of the next step into the next era of the Behringer kind of synth evolution. And just a couple of days ago, they dropped a post stating that they are working on over 100 synthesizer-based projects currently, and that probably is everything between modular to semi-modular mono synths to weird little quirky kind of things to individual things like the groove box, like they're talking about, or even larger projects like CS80 and things of that nature. So across the whole entire spectrum, they have over 100 projects they are currently working on within Behringer, which is insane. I don't think there's ever been a company within the synthesizer world that has released as much as Behringer has over the last few years and says they have 100 projects, starting to evolve under the hood. I mean, how many of those projects can be sustained at one time is really the big question. Because that's where a lot of synth manufacturers kind of fall short. They can only have so many products. They generally, I don't know much about these companies. I've never been in any of these companies. I have zero connections. But it just seems by how many objects they have on the market at the time and how they don't really have a lot of production line in these synth companies. They usually, have a few products that they're pumping out, and once they get too many, they'll cut one from the past fairly quickly sometimes if it doesn't sell that good. It'll be interesting to see how many of these projects Behringer can keep supporting while pumping out new projects. I do believe they have set themselves up in a different manner that we've never seen in the synthesizer world yet. I think they have a bunch of production lines way ahead of pretty much everybody else in synthland, and probably the majority of just music instrument creation in general. I have a gut feeling that's going to be their TKO punch that they're really going for, is being able to support so many things. And then you got to think Behringer is more than just a synth company. They do more than just synths. I mean, they make other products too with their name attached to them. You have to be able to support all these things at once, including the things outside of synth land. So to say you have 100 projects in the works, and on top of all the stuff they've released over the last few years, well over the par of anybody else. Nobody else in the last few years has released more synths than Behringer. A lot of people complain that they don't announce too early, they take too long. Well, you can always find something to rip apart. And even then, I'd argue them talking about early isn't a bad thing. For example, Korg with their newest releases that just came out today. Would you have preferred them knowing about them a year and a half in advance, but being able to give input from the very beginning, from the ground up, when they're building the synth, not just kind of cry into the sky and into the interwebs after it's released and then hope for a post software update, because that's all they can do. Yes, Behringer talks early, but they listen early. You can get direct lines to them, and they have proven to take consumer input and bring it to the product in manufacturing phase. So there's kind of a give there. Yeah, you know about it early. You might have to wait 2 years for the product, but they're going to listen to some consumers as they're doing it. And I think myself that is a better road to take than just releasing as it is hardware. You just know about it the day it's released, and now all you have say is the only thing you have input on as a consumer is the software development after it, if they listen to you. So that was kind of a little bit long rant, but even though that's what I'm trying to say, some people are saying that Behringer talks about stuff too early. Again, counter argument that is not necessarily a bad thing. But even beyond that, they release more than anybody else. So yeah, they talk a lot, they speak early, you know about their stuff in advance, but they are pumping out more gear than anybody else in the market right now. And a lot of people, their next jab could be like, yeah, clones, that's easy to do. And I guarantee anybody who says that has never tried to clone something architecturally, and make it. It's definitely not easy to clone things, especially the more advanced you get. I think they would laugh at you if you called the CS80 an easy clone. That is actually probably the most advanced project they have on their table right now in terms of how deep they need to dive to get that right. But I do believe they are setting themselves up to really be able to maintain a boatload of product on the market at the same time, well beyond anything else we've ever seen. And I have a gut feeling that this year could be this kind of a year where we start to see that happen. We start to really realize this is going to be happening because of how many products they say they have in the pipeline. They state that this is going to be a massive, massive year for them. And with what they already have out, if they have another 2-3 years of what they've been doing with increased intensity, and they don't cut anything, and they just kind of replace things with newer versions, but everything stays on the market, there is going to be so many products from Behringer available in a few years. I mean, it's gonna be insane. The catalog of just Behringer that's being produced right here, right now. It's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be the choices for musicians at great prices. It's gonna be across the board with bigger poly projects, monos, freaking modular. They're gonna be checking all those boxes. I think Behringer will always be chasing its tail with some products because some products are just so hot. Like I guarantee the UBXA just sold out, like forget it, like gone. Like whatever Sweetwater got probably just disintegrated into air. So they're always going to be kind of chasing their tail in that sense. They're always going to have products on the market that are released, but you're going to be waiting a few months to get it. If you weren't lucky enough to get it in that wave, you're going to have to wait for the next wave. I think that's always going to be a reality with Behringer. I mean, because of how much they're going to be producing and how much people want it. You know, especially the newer, hotter items, the new hotness. Those are going to be the hardest ones to obviously find. But I'm really interested to see how far they can push this, how far they can, how much of a stake they can have in the market, how many items can they be producing at once within the market. I have a gut feeling it's going to be huge. Again, I think it's already above what we've ever seen already in terms of just individual projects. If they're not already number one in terms of projects at one time, they're close to it right now. So give it another couple of years and they keep pushing, dude. It's going to be nuts. What do you think, guys? How big do you think Behringer has prepared for this, or is preparing for this? I think they're going big. I think they're really going to try to just keep shitloads of stuff in production. Do you think that's going to be the case with Behringer? Like, all this stuff will be in production 2 or 3 years from now on top of all the stuff that's being released? Or do you think they're going to cut these mono synths completely, like a lot of people do after a couple of years, especially at the rate of Behringer's releases? I mean, I don't think there's no other company you can compare it to. They're definitely a new feel in the market, and either you like what they're doing or you don't. Again, whether it comes down to them talking early, with them making clones, those type of things. It's like but what they're doing is never been done before. It's going to be so cool to see where it is in a couple of years. I'll obviously never be able to have all that shit in one room. I'll never be able to justify all that stuff. I probably got too many just mono synths, but I got them at such great price tags. Why not just rack them up and turn it into one crazy kind of semi-modular experience, more than I ever thought I'd have. So I can just have that corner of my studio, like my little semi-modular section. I never thought I'd ever have that possibility, and Behringer made it possible. What is, again, your opinion? Do you think, the products are going to stay and they're just going to keep expanding? Or do you think they're going to kind of have too many products and have to start cutting stuff? Like, the Neutron Model D and stuff of that nature. I personally don't think it's going to be that way. I personally think they're going to just keep pumping. But I'd like to hear your opinion. I'd always love to hear your opinions. Stay positive, stay creative, support each other. Peace.